by this fear of racial replacement.
So what do you say about, well, first, you just brought up so many issues. So why won't the people look into Trump's policies, especially under his policies with the sanctions with China? America's dependence has grown more on China because the trade is even bigger. The deficit is even larger with China after he enacted these so-called sanctions against China, and is making the American people pay more to buy stuff from China because America produces nothing.
Well, it might even be worse than that. Trump claims he's this big nationalist. And so he beats up on China instead of Russia. And of course, he beats up on the Muslims. And that's supposed to make him a big nationalist. But as you say, his trade policies really backfired. He shot himself in the foot. America shot itself in the foot because the Chinese don't need us. We need them actually more than they need us. It's reached the point where it's going to be really tough to stop China from becoming the most powerful country in the world. And yet, of course, that's the job of the American leadership, is to try to stop them. So what are they going to do? So you know what? I think that Trump brought in these hardline anti-China guys. And what I think happened probably was a year and a half or a couple of years ago, they said, well, Mr. President, as you know, we've been waging small-scale biological attacks against the Chinese economy for the past 2 decades, and we have managed to take out their poultry supply and their pork supply with our CIA drones and other measures, dropping bird flu and swine flu on their country. And you may know that you did a SARS attack. We're trying to slow down their economic growth, Mr. President. They're growing 10% per year, and if this continues within a decade or two, we're toast. So we have this new project, and we'd like you to sign off on this, that we're going to escalate the biological attack. We have a new form of flu, which we think can be used to paralyze the Chinese economy. Would you mind signing here on the dotted line? And Trump's like, oh, yeah, I hate China. Sure, I'll sign. And that's probably where COVID came from.
Yeah. Well, I had sources that told me that prior to the so-called Wuhan incident, that there was a international training in that area with different troops, U.S. troops, other troops, and the Chinese believe that that's when the flu was brought to China, and the foreign minister even went so far to say it on Twitter about he believed that this came from the West and that it was a biological attack on the Chinese.
Yeah, the Chinese were actually saying that pretty loudly for a while, and now I think they've quieted down a little bit. Probably because they know that it's hard to win the propaganda battle because the Western media does dominate the media sphere. But yeah, there's a lot of evidence that this was a U.S. biological weapon. I think the strongest single piece of evidence is the report from ABC News, which was confirmed by Israeli journalists. I believe it was at Haaretz, the best paper in Israel, that in early October of last year, the U.S. military intelligence, defense intelligence agency warned America's allies in Europe and in Israel that there was a huge pandemic brewing in Wuhan, China, and they should take steps to protect themselves. So that was in early October of 2019. It wasn't until the end of December in 2019 that China knew that there was a problem in Wuhan. So how did the U.S. know 2 months early? The answer, as Ron Unz pointed out in his article on this, is that they probably knew for the same reason that the arsonist knows where the fire is going to break out.